House, please come to order. Honorable authorities, keynote speakers, honorable members of the Secretariat, President and Co-President of the International Court of Justice, fellow officers, delegates, GeMUN directors, distinguished guests, indispensable members of press and admin, good afternoon. I am Viola Coni, and today I will serve as mistress of the opening ceremony. Needless to say, I'm deeply honored to welcome you all to the official opening ceremony of the 22nd annual session of GeMUN Model United Nations, titled Breaking the Code. Without any more hesitation, I would like to officially start today's opening ceremony. It's my pleasure to give the floor to the eminent Consigliere Comunale di Genova, Miss Barbara Grosso. Miss Barbara Grosso, you have the floor.
And I am the first. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you. With great pleasure, I greet you all, students. I would like to thank the organizer for the kind invitation to join again this opening ceremony of this new edition of GeMUN. Once again, as every year, Genova is really proud to organize this wonderful moment. We are linked by the common goal of sharing and developing our ideas on such an important issue as, this year, breaking the code. An opportunity for each of us in our own capacity to influence the world through discussion and sharing experiences as dialogue. I want to thank you one by one, guys. You have chosen to continue your extracurricular activity, so important for your school preparation, but also, and above all, for you as human beings. You got involved, and for this I respect you. And I also want to thank you, all the teachers, who have been able to convey the value of commitment and the desire to build something beautiful, as today. I wish you good work, guys. Keep on studying, because we need your knowledge. Get excited, because we need your energy, because only through debate and exchanges of ideas as GeMUN can the world around be changed. Good luck.
Thank you, Ms. Grosso. Before we move on with the next guest, the GeMUN team would like to quickly thank Presidente del Consiglio di Indirizzo Fulgis, Massimo Lusuriello. Thank you, Presidente, for your attendance. It's now my pleasure to give the floor to the Secretary General, Emma Christensen. Ms. Secretary General, the floor is yours.
Distinct authorities, hard-working members of the Secretariat, admin and press, esteemed delegates, officers and GeMUN directors, dear guests, good afternoon. It is with profound honor that I welcome you here today as the Secretary General of the 22nd edition of GeMUN Model United Nations. I really have no word to express the excitement I feel looking up to you and seeing a room full of people ready to engage in something so special to me. I consider myself to have been very lucky when selecting the people to include in the creation of this year's Secretariat, which happened to made up of people that I already deeply cherished a year ago or that I had admired from afar. In many and different conversations with them, while discussing and acknowledging many of our present-day struggles, the theme of this edition of GeMUN came to me naturally. Despite the title being a great creation of our lovely Professor Orlando, Breaking the Code perfectly summarizes what I try to explain to my beloved team with over 1,000 words in more than a couple of afternoons. Now, I'm going to try to explain in a short but exhaustive version what my thought process was. We can all acknowledge that international relations are, as of now, the most complicated they've ever been, and the intricacy of our current world often makes understanding many, if not all, dynamics surrounding us appear as a challenge. If I had to highlight an element that ties the whole Secretariat together, that would be the desire to have a role in shifting our current world's dynamic. Hence, the command and invitation to work against the never-changing patterns and together with the ever-changing dynamics in the process of breaking the code. Starting from the topic chosen for this year's General Assembly plenary session, the role of diplomatic organs in worldwide dynamics, up to the Security Council's democratic downfall and civilian rights crisis in Venezuela, we have chosen topics for you to debate and discuss that are all structurally similar, but thematically and substantially different. All of them are issues that derive from historical, social, legal, cultural, economical patterns, generally on the negative spectrum, which haunt our present and strongly influence the way we can move on towards the future. Diplomacy until now has been the most used tool in the world to ensure safety, security, and peace. However, for those of us who are Europeans, regardless of our own political views on the work of the European Union, we should all recognize that the cooperation within the Union has been, for more than 7 decades, the key to security, stability, and development between member states of the European Union. Now, it's time for the United Nations to follow and step up in order to guarantee that same peace and security all around the globe. Therefore, the new term representing global interaction shall no longer be diplomacy, but cooperation. We must unite our forces and skill sets in order to operate as a functioning and equal world. I want to quote something that I heard in a speech about a month ago at another conference I had the pleasure to contribute to. A speaker asked, looking at a similar crowd full of young people, "Where are the United Nations in this mess of a world?" And my answer to that is, here we are. Right now, you may not see the United Nations taking bold actions, but in a few years, you will hear and see us. We are the fuel for the future of the United Nations. I am beyond impatient to see these 3 days of debate flourish and unfold, as I am to witness once again the cooperative atmosphere and eye-opening debates that GeMUN always has to offer. I believe I can talk for my whole team when I say that we're immensely grateful that all of you decided to show up for our world and society, as well as choosing to participate in our conference. You are the one who makes this effort worthwhile, mostly overcoming all the bumps in the road. And ultimately, you're the one making this possible together with us. I thank you all so much. I yield the floor back to the Mistress of Ceremony.
Thank you, Emma, for your amazing speech. Once again, we would like to take a moment to thank our respectable direttrice della Fondazione Fulgis, Susanna Fadda, our lovely coordinatrici didattiche, Cinzia Miliardi, of Liceo Linguistico Internazionale, Grazia, Deledda, Francesca Bavassano, of Istituto Duchessa di Galliera, and Liz Rice, of Deledda International School. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to give the floor to the co-president of the International Court of Justice of GeMUN 2025, Matilde Virginia Benedetti. Ms. Co-President, you have the floor.
Honorable Mistress of Ceremony, Secretary and Under-Secretary Generals, MUN's Director, officers, distinguished guests, esteemed delegates, and members of admin press, fellow members of the International Court of Justice, good afternoon. I'm Matilde Benedetti Virginia, and this year I have the pleasure to serve as the co-president of the International Court of Justice, along with Fatou Kinendoye as the president and Lucia Izzetta as the registrar. I wish I could explain the feeling that giving this speech here today as the co-president of the ICJ provokes in me. My journey in GeMUN started last year as a judge when I accepted the challenge offered by this outstanding court, and from that moment on, I knew it was meant to be. Due to the restricted number of members that our conference allows, I realized that not many do actually understand how the International Court of Justice operates. Hence, I feel the urge to clarify doubts and concerns. Our ICJ has the purpose of solving pending international disputes submitted to the real International Court of Justice. The advocates provide the judges with documents and evidence in order to support and prove their point. The judges are then challenged with the task of analyzing the material provided and formulating a fair verdict. The case we will be discussing this year tackles a matter of great importance regarding diplomacy in today's global dynamics, namely the relocation of the United States Embassy to Jerusalem. It concerns a dispute between Palestine and the United States regarding the relocation of the American Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem in relation to the special statute of the city in the international and juridical framework. In the process of selecting the case, Keen and I had several options to choose from, each of which would surely have led to a prolific session of discussion. However, this year's theme, Break the Code, has prompted us to address this cultural and geopolitical conflict that has been going on for over 70 years now. Our intent was to understand from a legal viewpoint the Israelo-Palestinian issue, which in the international community is subject of numerous and conflictual debates. We embodied the generation that is capable of breaking the code and face the too often overlooked challenges of our world. After many meetings since the beginning of the year, Kine, Lucia, and I got the chance to envision the court as a well-knit organ, in which each and every member managed to live this experience with great commitment. We are extremely gratified by your dedication and deeply proud of the improvement achieved by you all. I won't lie when I say that in the last 5 months, I felt an overwhelming pressure caused by the fear of not properly fulfilling all my duties. However, writing this speech made me realize I would have never lived this meaningful experience if I did not find the courage to challenge myself. Had I not come out of my shell, I would not have been able to share this journey with people that made it special in every moment. Francesca and Chiara, you were always by my side, even when you were not meant to. You became an essential part of my life. I cannot wait to look back in a few years and remember the beautiful moments I shared with you. Lastly, my dear colleagues, Kine and Lucia, with whom I had the chance to work, your support and your presence was indispensable. I am glad to have embarked on this journey alongside you. Thank you for being the best president and registrar I could ever ask for. For many of us here, the next 2 days will mark our last GeMUN experience and the end of our journey, while for many of you, they will signify the beginning of a new one, and I hope you will enjoy it as much as we did during these years. I wish you all an unforgettable and worthwhile GeMUN experience. Thank you. I yield the floor back to the Mistress of Ceremony.
Thank you, Matilde. Before we continue with the ceremony, the whole Secretariat invite the House to observe a minute of silence to honor all the victims of all wars and social injustice around the world. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I now have the honor of passing the floor to the co-president of the General Assembly of GeMUN 2025, Ms. Serena Boglione. You have the floor.
Fellow members of the Secretariat, dear MUN directors, distinguished guests, honorable officers, members of admin, press, ICJ, and delegates, good afternoon. My name is Serena Boglione, and I'm currently attending my 5th and sadly last year at Liceo Linguistico Internazionale, Grazia, Deledda. First of all, I apologize if I will not be able to read what I've written properly and if I will speak too quickly. As you can see, I'm quite anxious and a bit nervous at the moment. This year, I have the privilege and the honor to serve as the co-president of the General Assembly alongside with my fellow colleague and friend, Sasha Argiolas. Having had the opportunity to participate and share ideas with my amazing teammates, I can confidently say that this GeMUN's main topic, breaking the code, never-changing patterns, never-changing dynamics, could not be more fitting for the historical moment we are currently living in. We are now accustomed to receiving an enormous amount of information in a short period of time, without having the possibility and sometimes the desire to dive deeper and investigate further. And this happens because breaking down interminable laws, arduous agreements, and perplexing historical dynamics can be, or rather is actually, intricate and effortful. Nevertheless, we must push ourselves to go the extra mile and engage in identifying those never-changing patterns in order to better understand the diverse current situations in which we find ourselves living and building our future. Being able to break the code is fundamental to respond to technological shifts, persistent geopolitical conflicts, migration crises, and economic and environmental threats. As far as the General Assembly is concerned, this year's topic is probably one of the most intricate and at the same time thought-provoking of the recent plenary sessions. Although analyzing the role of diplomatic organs in worldwide dynamics can be very challenging, it also leads to very stimulating and fascinating debates. Diplomatic organs are indeed the backbone of international relations, as well as we all know, but they are facing growing challenges as new global players are rising and power dynamics are shifting. Therefore, I feel the need to encourage all the delegates who will be part of the General Assembly on Saturday to actively participate and commit in debating this topic. Standing in front of so many people willing to engage during these 3 days, willing to contribute to improve the world we live in, willing to overcome their potential fears of speaking in front of so many people, as I have tried to do and still try to, fills me with hope. I would finally like to truly encourage all of you not to be afraid to raise your voice and stand up for yourselves. During my first GeMUN, I started enjoying the conference only on the 3rd day after delivering my first speech. I instead wish for you to enjoy every single moment of these 3 days, and I am sure of this, the debates you will take part in will leave you with something meaningful. To conclude, I would like to deeply thank these 5 people, Emma, Sofia, Age, Sasha, Viola, as well as Sara, Professor Orlando and Professor Lozada, for these crazy and beautiful months of preparation for this GeMUN. Thank you all.
Thank
I
you,
give the
Serena.
floor back to the Mistress of Sir.
Thank you, Serena. I'm now pleased to invite the Junior Project Manager of our charity partner Help Code program, Ms. Zeynep Pınar Dropnar. Ms. Dropnar, the floor is yours.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for pronouncing my name in a correct way. Good afternoon. I'm Zeynep Pınar. I work as a project manager at Help Code Italy. This is not working? No? Okay. First, no? I'm doing a mess, sorry. Okay, here I am. I'm honored to warmly welcome all of you here today and to enjoy GeMUN, and I hope you enjoy GeMUN and your time in Genoa over these next few days. I'm originally from Istanbul, Turkey, and I was told they are Turkish students here, so I would like to give them a special welcome in Turkish. Hoş geldiniz ve başarılar dilerim. Today, I'm not just representing Help Code, the charity partner of GeMUN, but also young people, young women, young professionals, and migrant youth. This event brings together bright youth minds from around the world to discuss global challenges and develop concrete solutions for a better future. And HelpCode shares these values and has been committed for over 30 years to creating a better future by protecting children's rights and promoting quality education for all. HelpCode was founded with the mission of ensuring that every child has the opportunity to grow up in a safe environment with access to education, healthcare, and development opportunities. Our efforts range from education to food security, and from supporting vulnerable communities to protecting human rights, all with a participatory and inclusive approach. We work in Italy and in several countries around the globe, including Switzerland, Mozambique, Democratic Republic of Congo, Cambodia, Nepal, Ukraine, Yemen, Tunisia, and Libya. This year's theme, the Breaking the Code, and the never-changing patterns in ever-changing dynamics, makes me reflect on how certain patterns, structures, and systems seem to remain unchanged despite the world's constant evolution. One of these persistent patterns is the way migration and cultural diversity are often portrayed. At HelpCode, we implement projects on a national and global scale to combat discrimination. Today, I want to talk to you about one of them, Tutta un'altra storia, a whole different story. A project that seeks to break the cycle and foster a more inclusive narrative. Throughout history, migration has been a fundamental driver of human progress, yet it continues to be framed as a crisis rather than a natural and ongoing process. Tutta un'altra storia aims to challenge these persistent stereotypes and reshape the public narrative around migration and cultural diversity in Italy. We live in an era where digital media and artificial intelligence amplify both positive and negative narratives. Unfortunately, misinformation and fake news about migration continue to spread, reinforcing outdated and harmful stereotypes. We collaborated with schools in Italy, young people, journalists, to provide tools and challenge and change these patterns. These tools aimed to foster a representation that is balanced, fact-based, and based on real-life experiences. With this project, we reached over 17,540 people in Italy. And we used an innovative educational approach. We combined interactive workshops, service learning, community events, and storytelling, all in direct engagement with migrant communities. By amplifying authentic voices and first-hand testimonies, we deconstructed old narratives and created new, more inclusive understanding of migration. So in cooperation projects like this, even on a national level, they are for development, and we do a final event, which is one of the most significant moments of the projects. The final event is not just a moment of reflection and dissemination, it is also an emotional journey for those who participate and for those who had a positive impact in their lives. So we share results and witness the impact between us who organize and between the people who were involved in the activities. And the final event of this project was particularly special. Genovese rappers with migrant backgrounds performed, and we even hosted an international female rapper named Chilla. She's very good, I suggest you listen to her. Further, there was a panel created by public figures and project beneficiaries to share their experiences. That day, we had nearly 400 attendees who shared the same values and actively participate to that moment of awareness and engagement. So we have a short video for you. Let me know. Okay.
C'est peut-être mieux sans toi, sans toi, sans toi. C'est plus nous deux, c'est moi sans toi, sans toi. Ça ira mieux pour toi, sans moi, sans moi. Ça ira mieux pour moi, sans toi, sans toi. Toutes les copines disaient de
Thank you. So, the core message of this project is that by working together, we can break the cycle of misinformation and challenge the structural biases that shape public perception. This is not just about migration. It is about how societies evolve, how well we tell our shared stories, and how young people like you can be at the forefront of change. So, before I conclude, Before I conclude, I want to share a personal reflection. As a young woman living in a different country and culture, I have learned that active citizenship is fundamental, no matter where you are. Being part of a society is not just about where you were born, it is about how you contribute, how you engage with others, and how you stand up for inclusivity and justice. To all the young people in this room, your actions and your voice matter. You can take action by sharing your ideas and comments in person, on social media, by volunteering, by participating, or even joining us, Help Code, to brainstorm, create, and develop projects together. I will leave you with a quote from Rosa Parks, an important figure in women's activism history. She said, "You must never be fearful about what you're doing when it is right." This is just to give a confidence boost for all of you. Interpret this however you choose, but remember, you have the power to create change and shape a future that embraces diversity rather than fears it. At Help Code, we believe that education and awareness are the most powerful tools to break patterns and build a more inclusive future. This event, GeMUN, represents an extraordinary opportunity to rethink the systems that shape our world and take action. Thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Dropaknar, for your speech and your presentation. I'm deeply honored to now welcome the Liceo Musicale Sandro Pertini's musical ensemble.
mi prese, del costui piacersi forte, del costui piacersi forte, del costui piacersi forte. Che come vedi ancor non m'abbandona, non m'abbandona.
Thank you, students, for your remarkable performance. It's now my pleasure to give the floor to the heads of press of GeMUN 2025, Ms. Petra Porcu and Ms. Beatrice Perrino. You have the floor.
Esteemed MUN Director, Secretary, officers, guests, admin and press member, and everyone present here today, good afternoon. My name is Petra Porcu, and I'm honored to speak on behalf of both myself and my friend and colleague, Beatrice Perrino. We are filled with immense gratitude for having been chosen as this year's press head. Our Mother United Nature journey began in our first years of high school, and it's been an exciting and ongoing adventure ever since. It is because of this journey that I have the honor of speaking to all of you today. Over the years, we have faced numerous challenges, and leading a team toward a common goal has been a daunting task. However, this year, we believe we finally bridged the gap that once held us back from expressing our ideas, and we've finally managed to create a sense of unity within our group. Every journey has its obstacles, and it would be unfair to say that stepping into the role of a new sector officer hasn't been challenging. Understanding the rules and fostering harmony within the team proved to be difficult at first. However, thanks to the incredible colleagues and friends who accompanied us on this journey, we have been able to work seamlessly toward GeMUN 2025. GeMUN has proven to be not only an incredible space to learn about our potential, but also a big family full of wonderful people all working toward a common goal. We would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Emma Christensen, our amazing Secretary General. Her unwavering support and mentorship have been crucial to our development, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of our role. Additionally, we wish to thank the MUN directors for their assistance in organizing this journey. I owe a special thanks to Beatrice Perrino, whose support and guidance have been invaluable throughout this long journey. From the very beginning until now, Beatrice has been a constant source of encouragement, and without her, I may not have had the courage to take on the role of the head of the press team. Finally, I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to Matilde Foti, the head of admin, whose determination has been an ongoing source of inspiration. Her trust in me has helped me grow in confidence and has taught me the importance of not giving too much weight to the opinions of others. At this point, I'm proud to present to you a video summarizing the events of 2024 and the first month of 2025, created by the press department in collaboration with the MUN directors. Thank you all. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Petra. We will now entertain a video prepared by the GeMUN press team regarding the main events of the year.
Epilepsy. Epilepsy.
Thank you, press team, for having prepared this video. With great pleasure, I'll now give the floor to the MUN Director, Eduardo Cabruja Lozada. Mr. MUN Director, you have the floor.
Dear guests and participants, let me begin by expressing my heartfelt thanks to all of you for taking part to the 22nd edition of GeMUN 2025. We are very aware of the effort you have made to be here. Rest assured, we have worked the hardest to make this happen and to bring you a great experience, just as we do every year. As always, I have the opportunity to speak to you directly and share a piece of my mind. This might be one of those never-changing patterns we ought to discuss in the coming days, but I truly consider it a great privilege. As usual, I'll begin by telling you about a personal experience. Every year, I visit the city of Venice for the Art and Architecture Biennale, one of the most important events for anyone interested in the arts worldwide. Last year's Venice Biennale was titled Foreigners Everywhere, curated by the Brazilian Adriano Pedrosa. Pedrosa gathered the work of hundreds of indigenous artists, immigrants, expatriates, members of the diasporas, exiles, and refugees, as well as those identifying as queer, outsider, or self-thought. He challenged traditional art world boundaries by showcasing talents from the fringes of any art gallery system. Pedrosa's exhibition revolved around identity, migration, and the concept of the other. Naturally, themes like colonization and imperialism were strongly present. The Spanish pavilion caught my attention. For the first time, a non-native artist, the Peruvian Sandra Gamarra Heshiki, there you go. Sandra Gamarra Heshiki represented Spain with her Pinacoteca Migrante. All right. Pinacoteca Migrante, a body of works that questions colonial narratives and traditional modes of representation. One piece in particular stood out. Okay. One piece in particular stood out, Enlightened Racism 1. The painting employed typical Western styles, as you can recognize, those you might find in museums like El Prado in Madrid, to explain the different products of miscegenation that occurred during colonial times in Latin America. It shows that the union of a white European and an indigenous person produced a mestizo, while the union with a black African resulted in a mulatto. Likewise, a black person and an indigenous person will give birth to a sambo, and so on. In this way, Sandra Gamarra Heshiki created a sort of colonial catalog of human beings. I sat there feeling uneasy. The information presented wasn't inherently wrong. It was based on facts. These are processes that occur naturally as people interact and exchange genes with different populations. However, Gamarra's vision also gave us, quite literally, through writings inside of the painting, a historical context, which is another fact, that was deeply disturbing. You see, the painting explained how the whiter you were, the higher you stood in colonial society. It depicted a hierarchy, creating a caste system based on the amount of melanin in your skin and your origins. It actually brutally explained how the concept of mejorar la raza, literally to improve the race, was a real thing. And it also depicted special cases like el salto atrás, or jump back, where, due to the randomness of Mendelian genetics, a dark-skinned baby with curly hair will be born to seemingly white parents, revealing a shamefully mixed genealogical tree, a secret that families will hide. This all brought me back to my primary school classroom in Venezuela, where I was born and where I grew up, where I learned these names: Sambo, Mulatto, Mestizo. I remember drawing people using a variety of crayons, creating a human skin rainbow to depict different complexions. I remember labeling those drawings with the same terms: Sambo, Mulatto, Mestizo, just as Gamarra did in her artwork at the Biennale. So yes, I remember being taught these distinctions, these names, as something that was essential to know. But there is a difference between knowing and truly understanding. As a small child, I couldn't grasp the full impact of these labels or the culture of racism associated with them, especially as someone like myself positioned on the lighter side of Venezuelan skin tone spectrum. I was privileged. I was light-skinned. This knowledge permeated and actually defined the patterns of the cultural and social fabric of the society I lived in. I often say that we Latin Americans have a huge issue with self-esteem. We are convinced that anything from abroad is better than anything local, whether it's food, music, words, trends, products, or even genetic traits. We are constantly looking for ways to improve the race in many ways and aspects. I don't think we need to dig too deep to uncover the roots of such sentiment. Back again, in my primary school classroom, every October the 12th, I had to write a short essay about Christopher Columbus and the discovery of America, along with drawings of La Pinta, La Niña, La Santa Maria sailing across the Atlantic Ocean every single year of my primary school. This Eurocentric narrative was our fixed reference point for decades, and our entire identity as people began from there. We were discovered, we were colonized, we were subdued, we belonged to an empire. And this meant that if we were discovered, we started to exist at that moment, not before. Our history was canceled or simply showcased in ethnographic museums, apart from the important stuff. Gamarra mentions in an interview that viceregal art, the art from former colonies that had the status of viceroyalty, such as Peru, cannot be found at El Prado Museum in Madrid, but rather at Museo de las Américas, as if their stories were differentiated. It will take far too long to even list the consequences we still suffer as a region, as a people, due to the ghost of colonialism still haunting our spirits. But in the following years, the narrative began to change. Perhaps the right people at the right moment and in the right positions of power had an epiphany. Our teachers no longer talked about the discovery of America, but about the encounter of two worlds, acknowledging that the people that in the new world, before the arrival of Europeans, had lives, dreams, cultures, knowledge, and above all, dignity. We already were something, and as we started to change that fixed point of reference through education, we began to finally gain awareness of our self-worth. Our own reference point allowed us to find the dignity we had been missing for so long. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not here to vindicate the rights of pride of my people. I am very, very aware that I am, personally, the product of a concoction far more complex than the sum of its parts, of which I am extremely proud. But discovering this pride is an ongoing process, decolonizing our minds and spirits, and understanding that we need to break down cultural hierarchies, putting them all on the same level. All cultures and cultural aspects play a role in building an identity. I realize I've been talking about something very specific and very personal, which you may or may not relate to, but it helps me get to the core of the message I want to leave you with today. I talk about my experience in a classroom in Venezuela back in the 80s, and how my teachers taught me, what my teachers taught me became the collective reality for me and my peers, whether for better or worse. I've mentioned how we know things, we don't always understand them, and how understanding things is key to changing what needs to be changed. But here's where the system is rigged. We teachers are responsible for instilling in you the knowledge humanity collects and continues to collect through research and discoveries. However, what happens when the teachers are also entangled in these fixed patterns, just like my primary school ones? I don't blame them too much. I'm sure most of them were doing their job with the best of intentions and to the best of their abilities. But in the end, they were perpetuating the same old ideas and biases that became systemic, polluting our worldview, a world that is always changing. Here is what I feel compelled to ask you. Be curious, go further, go beyond. You need to understand the pattern that makes up the fabric in order to unravel it and knit it again, giving it a new form, a form that fits everyone. In an age when information is available everywhere, all the time, all at once, we might be getting used to just passively waiting for information to jump out of our smartphones, screens, into our minds, sometimes without even choosing what we see or hear. We end up swimming in an ocean of fake news mixed with truths and random facts that can be overwhelming. Sometimes it's hard to even breathe. But again, you need to go further. Look beyond the screens and mirrors. Get to the core of things as much as you can. Be active. And what about us, your teachers? Take us with you. Show us a different path. Ask us why again and again. Squeeze us to the last drop. Drive us crazy for the right reasons. Go beyond. It may be an endless journey, but I promise we'll go with you as far as we can until one day you'll have to pass the torch to someone else. We all need you to be that force of change. It is of vital importance. Thank you for your attention. I yield the floor back to the mistress of ceremony.
Thank you, Mr. Luzada. We will now proceed with the opening speeches from the school delegation. Delegation of Armenia, Australia, Bangladesh, Colombia, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Germany, Israel, Italy, Japan, Lebanon, Nepal, Palestine, Panama, Finland, Qatar, Russian Federation, South Africa, Thailand, and Uzbekistan. You have the floor in this order. Delegation of Armenia, you have the floor.
Distinguished delegates, esteemed guests, and honorable chairs, as the delegate of Armenia, I am honored to welcome you to this year's Model United Nations Conference, centered around the theme, Breaking the Code. In Armenia, breaking the code signifies our nation's dedication to deciphering the complexities of global challenges through collaborative diplomacy. It reflects our commitment to transparency, understanding, and the pursuit of innovative solutions that transcend traditional boundaries. Armenia stands at a crossroad of civilizations, embodying a rich history of cultural exchange and resilience. Our recent initiatives, such as advancement toward European Union membership and forging strategic partnerships with nations worldwide, exemplify our resolve to foster regional peace and global cooperation. These efforts are a testament to our belief in the power of unity and dialogue in addressing the pressing issues of our time. Moreover, breaking the code serves as a reminder of the ethical standards we uphold. In our deliberations, let us commit to integrity, respect, and the unwavering principles of diplomacy that guide us toward a more harmonious world. As we embark on this conference, let us decode the challenges before us, break barriers, and script an innovative future defined by collaboration and mutual understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Armenia, for your speech. Delegation of Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you. Honorable authorities and keynote speakers, members of the Secretariat, President of the International Court of Justice, respected fellow delegates, GeMUN directors, distinguished and respected guests, indispensable members of admin and press. The delegation of Australia is privileged to attend this conference and to be instrumental in advancing critical priorities that transcend national boundaries through mutual responsibility and cooperation. By making important contributions to UN activities, Australia promotes a stable international framework within a global context in which the rise of populism and nationalism has raised concerns about the future. Embracing true multilateralism more than ever in seeking global and regional solutions, let us rekindle and safeguard the spirit of solidarity that characterizes the international community, so that we can all go full speed ahead to face the complexities of the war scenario with a shared commitment to a more peaceful and sustainable future for mankind. In view of accelerating global transformations and opportunities, the delegation of Australia recognizes that the time has now come for the young member states to turn a new page by righting the wrongs of the past, and so moving forward with confidence, unafraid to challenge the status quo. We sincerely hope for a successful collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Australia. Delegation of Bangladesh, the floor is yours.
Honourable chairs, esteemed delegates, distinguished guests, and hard-working staff. It is a privilege to address the Assembly on behalf of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. Since gaining independence in 1971, Bangladesh has emerged as one of the fastest-growing economies in the world, with an average GDP growth rate exceeding 6% over the past 2 decades. Our export-driven economy, particularly in textiles and manufacturing, has positioned us as a key player in global trade, with poverty rates dropping from over 40% in the 1990s to below 20% today. We continue to focus on economic stability, infrastructure development, and national security. However, we face pressing challenges. Climate change threatens to displace millions. Despite Bangladesh contributing less than 0.5% of global emissions, we have invested in flood protection, resilient agriculture, and renewable energy. But international cooperation is essential to ensuring fairness in global climate policy. Additionally, Bangladesh has shouldered a significant burden on the Rohingya refugee crisis, providing humanitarian assistance while upholding national interests. This is not a problem for one nation alone. This is a matter of regional security and stability that demands a responsible, long-term solution. In Bangladesh, we believe in economic growth that benefits all, policies that prioritize national interests, and diplomacy that leads to meaningful action. As we engage in discussions, let us focus on practical solutions, shared responsibility, and a world where nations can prosper on their own terms. Thank you.
Thank you, delegation of Bangladesh, for your speech. The delegation of Colombia, you have the floor.
Howdy, everyone. Visualize for a minute, if you will, 2.8 million of something. It can be anything: dollars, train engines, coca plants, whatever. Imagine needing to organize these 2.8 million objects, finding a spot for each and every individual item. Now instead imagine that whichever object was chosen, they're human beings. Human beings with wants and needs, human beings who need food, who need water, who need a place to sleep. Adults, men, women, children, the elderly. Refugee children lack the documentation needed to access their basic rights. Colombia is making progress with the 2.8 million refugees in their borders, with hundreds of thousands of migrant children now enrolled in schools. Colombia urges the UN through agencies like UNICEF and UNHCR to expand legal aid programs that help undocumented children get legal status or temporary protections. This includes funding mobile legal aid units, simplifying paperwork, and training local officials to streamline the process. We urge member states to preserve and build upon international cooperation, and together we can build a better world.
Thank you, delegation of Colombia, for your speech. The delegation of Equatorial Guinea, the floor is yours.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, and esteemed guests, as the country of Equatorial Guinea, we are honored to stand before you today and to attend this conference. The theme of breaking the code is a topic we take very seriously and believe that is a topic we must discuss now more than ever. As the world is changing around us, we must adapt to it. Instead of creative conflict, we must work together and collaborate in order to achieve greatness. Not only do we have to work together, but we must engage in meaningful conversation and respect one another. Equatorial Guinea stands firm in its commitment to dismantling barriers, whether they be economic, social, or political, that hinder progress and global cooperation. Our nation, which is rich in natural resources and cultural diversity, is ready to break down barriers and find practical solutions to these pressing matters. Breaking the code of silence on major global issues such as the public health crisis, climate change, and especially human rights is essential to making our future and our world a better place. As we embark on this journey, Equatorial Guinea is ready to take action, and we hope to work towards breaking the code that divides us. Thank you.
Thank you, delegation of Equatorial Guinea, for your speech. The delegation of Eritrea, the floor is yours.
Honorable Secretary General, chairs and staff, fellow delegates and distinguished guests, it's with great honor that we, delegation of Eritrea, make this speech, focusing on the important theme, breaking the code. Being a nation heavily affected by climate change and in an area of increased instability, Eritrea hopes to help solve the problems affecting the world today. The idea of bettering ourselves by being unique has definitely led us to all the progress we've made as a species. However, also to geopolitical crisis and a critical time in history, where war rages and inequalities tear whole countries apart. This said, through cooperation and wit, we will be able to make the right decisions and benefit from what the past has to give us and what the future has yet to give.
Thank you, Delegation of Eritrea. Delegation of Germany, the floor is yours.
Honorable chairs, esteemed delegates, and distinguished guests, good morning. We, the delegation of Germany, stand before you today to address a global challenge that affects nations across every continent, the fight for protection of illegal children. As the world becomes increasingly interconnected, the movement of people across borders has grown in both scale and complexity, shaping international relations and policies. Throughout history, migration has been a defining element of human civilization, contributing to cultural exchanges, economic growth, and social transformations. However, it also represents challenges that demand careful governance and cooperation among states. Nations today face questions of border security, resource allocation, and humanitarian obligations, all of which require nuance and balance. As we gather here today, we must recognize the multi-faced nature of this issue. It is shaped by economic disparity, geopolitical instability, climate change, and social dynamics. Addressing migration requires cooperation, pragmatic solutions, and a commitment to upholding international frameworks. This conference provides a crucial opportunity to exchange ideas, develop comprehensive strategies, and strengthen international partnerships. Through dialogue, we can work towards policies that ensure security, stability, and fairness in migration governance. Let us engage in discussions with open minds, guided by reason, diplomacy, and a shared commitment to addressing this complex global challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Germany. The Delegation of Israel, you have the floor.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, and distinguished guests, Israel's priority is and always will be its people. Therefore, during each topic debated in this conference, Israel's aim will be protecting its citizens. The delegation of Israel is delighted to having been invited to the conference that aims to break the oppressive patterns in society and seeks a better future for the people. The State of Israel has, as well, taken matters into its own hands in terms of breaking the code. On January 17th, Israel finally settled on an agreement with the terrorist group Hamas to reach a ceasefire in Gaza. Israel recognizes that peace cannot be attained overnight and that there's much work to do in order to bring back light during such dark times. Thus, the State of Israel is extremely grateful for all the present member states, as their attendance proves their efforts to achieve a brighter future for society.
So, how can countries contribute to breaking the code? Firstly, Israel urges all delegations to approach the debate with an open as well as unbiased stance. The only way to reach a peaceful world is if all countries are open to reaching an agreement that will favor all. Secondly, Israel pressures each member state present to focus on combating terrorism in their nation, seeing as said crime has caused so many citizens to live in conflict, pain, and suffering. Hence, Israel strongly recommends all nations to protect its citizens at all costs against this threat, as no country will ever achieve peace as long as terrorism is still present in our society. The delegation wishes for all member states to have a fruitful debate and to leave this conference with hope for a better, brighter, and more peaceful future. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Israel. Delegation of Italy, you have the floor.
Honorable Chair, esteemed delegates, and distinguished guests. Italy stands before you today as a staunch advocate for human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Our nation has long upheld the fundamental freedoms of peaceful assembly and expression, recognizing them as the cornerstones of just and democratic society. However, we also acknowledge the delicate balance between these rights and the need to maintain public order. It is for this reason that Italy urges the United Nations to develop clear guidelines to ensure that any restrictions on peaceful assembly are necessary, proportionate, and aligned with international human rights standards. Moreover, Italy remains committed to protecting the most vulnerable among us, our children. Undocumented minors, regardless of their immigration status, deserve the same rights and protections as all children. Our legal framework, including Law Number 47 of 2017, ensures that foreign accompanied minors are safeguarded from expulsion and have access to essential services. Yet, challenges persist, and Italy calls upon the international community to reinforce mechanisms that guarantee the protection and integration of undocumented children. Finally, in an era where digital advancements redefine the boundaries of press freedom and privacy, Italy recognizes the urgent need for comprehensive legal frameworks that safeguard both. While freedom of the press is a pillar of our democracy, privacy rights must not be eroded under the pretense of national security. Italy stands ready to collaborate with all members to uphold these fundamental principles. Let us work together to ensure that our commitment to human rights is not just spoken, but most importantly, acted upon. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Italy. Delegation of Japan, you have the floor.
Honorable MUN Director, members of Secretariat, distinguished guests, officers, and delegates, good afternoon. As a delegate of Japan, I am delighted to participate in this 2025 GeMUN debate session. The topic, Breaking the Code, underlines the importance of ensuring peace and stability in this world's ever-changing political landscape through diplomacy and cooperation, with the aim of modifying the recurring crisis that humanity continues to deal with. Global relationships cannot be overlooked, as contemporary challenges demand collective commitment to break the cycle of inequality and struggle, in order to build not just a better future, but a better present. As the delegation of Japan, we firmly believe in the power that diplomacy holds, and in this year's debate session, we are counting on international collaboration to pave the ground for lasting peace and stability, because to us, that's what United Nations means.
Thank you, Delegation of Japan. The Delegation of Lebanon, the floor is yours.
Honorable chairs, esteemed delegates, and distinguished guests. The nation of Lebanon faces non-trivial challenges that test our resilience and commitment to the principle of UNESCO and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In recent months, Lebanon has suffered aggressions resulting in the loss of over 4,000 lives and the displacement of countless citizens. The conflict has inflicted human suffering and endangered our cultural heritage, especially the Roman ruins in Baalbek and Tyre. As we all know, UNESCO reacted with an emergency session in November 2024. We extend our gratitude for the actions in the safeguarding our cultural legacy, granting enhanced protection, financial resource, and international support to 35 sites. In these challenging times, Lebanon calls upon the international community to stand in solidarity with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Lebanon. Delegation of Maldives, the floor is yours.
Honorable chairs, esteemed delegates, guests, and hardworking staff. The delegation of the Republic of Maldives stands before you today as we embark on a journey of diplomacy, collaboration, and global change at this Model United Nations Conference. In the spirit of unity and understanding, we gather here to break the code. As we take on the role of representatives from various nations, we have the unique opportunity to make a difference, to bridge the divides that separate us, and to work towards the new solutions that will shape the future of our planet. In the days ahead, let us remember that our discussions and debates are vital steps towards progress and positive change. We must approach each topic with an open mind, a commitment in dialogue, and a dedication to finding common ground by engaging in civil discourse and considering the perspective of others. We can build consensus and foster collaboration. It is our duty to listen, to advocate, and to negotiate in pursuit of a better future for our nations. Together, we have the power to transcend borders, overcome obstacles, and make a lasting impact on the global stage. So we implore you all to seize this opportunity to engage in meaningful dialogue and to work towards the common goal of a more peaceful world. We wish you all a good luck and a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you, delegation of Maldives, for your speech. Delegation of Nepal, you have the floor.
Esteemed delegates, honorable chair, dear MUN directors, and everybody present in this room. Many believe that the world is heading toward a grim future, but we are just a chill nation with a big heart and believe that with the equitable tools, we are guaranteed to prosper for a future built on cooperation, unity, and lasting peace. With that in mind, it is time to lock in. We proceed to express our greatest devotion to the persistent efforts of the United Nations and its steadfast upholding of its principles. As Article 9 of the Constitution of Nepal states, we are driven by the belief that the state shall conduct its international relations based on sovereign equality, national interest, non-alignment, the principle of the United Nations Charter, international law, and global peace. After all, we are all bound to the same floor, a floor that tells stories, a floor that we built cities on, climbed mountains from, and took our first steps on. But most importantly, together we stand on the floor that we've built our peace, morals, and values on, and together we shall ensure that our globe flourishes in peaceful coexistence. Let the walls that bind the historical Palazzo Ducale, that we are present in this very moment, be a testament to the enduring power of amity and accordance, an inclusive recognition of every man, woman, child, and human whose shared existence holds our beautiful world together. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. State of Palestine, the floor is yours.
Honorable MUN directors and members of the Secretariat, dear officers and members of the International Court of Justice, fellow delegates, distinguished guests, and indispensable member of admin press, good afternoon. It's our pleasure and deep honor to be here today as the representative of the State of Palestine. This year's theme, Breaking the Code, represents the need to remove barriers that prevent equality, education, and sustainability. For Palestine, this means overcoming challenges that limit access, education, cultural heritage, and economic development. In UNESCO, we discussed the connection between economic and social sustainability. Palestine believes that true sustainability is impossible without justice and equal opportunities for all. Early childhood education is also essential to breaking the cycle of poverty, giving every child, no matter their background, the chance for a better future. Rebuilding trust in science is the key to progress. As the saying goes, knowledge is power. When people trust science, they are more aware of the world around them and can make informed decisions for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. The delegation of Panama, you have the floor.
Dear delegates, esteemed chairboard, and distinguished guests.
The United Nations does not only serve as a worldwide partnering in which globally critical conflicts are solved, but as a platform in which numerous minority groups all around the world are welcomed and listened, that generally struggle with economically privileged nations. The United Nations has failed in the past various times in acting as a mediator to establish much-needed peace, but never in recognizing the situations of the suppressed. We believe that the United Nations is created in order to not only find resolutions for ongoing conflicts, but to represent the many who are willing to engage with their free will to create themselves and their people a much better life. Latin American countries, just like Panama, struggled to be heard in the past because of continuous anti-democratic policies that put upon them. Panamanians are strongly connected to their sovereignty and liberty. They are the ones that had their rights taken away by a dictator and the ones who figured out a way to get them back, being a great example for many countries we will be talking about in this conference. It is my firm belief that this conference shall take place within the boundaries of civil conversation and rational thinking, a place where the committed values of the United Nations will showcase our perseverance and commitment to the world as peaceful, dignified, and sovereign nations. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Delegation of Finland, you have the floor.
Thank you. Honorable Secretariat, esteemed delegates, distinguished guests. Today, the delegation of Finland feels quite honored to be participating in this conference, and we are here to discuss the theme Breaking the Code, Never-Changing Patterns and Never-Changing Dynamics. It is a theme that challenges us to examine the patterns that shape our world, those that remain constant and those that must evolve. Throughout history, Finland has adapted the shifting global dynamics while upholding the principles of education, sustainability, and diplomacy. Yet, we also acknowledge that not all patterns serve progress. Some codes must be broken, whether they are outdated structures that hinder development or cycles of conflict that prevent peace. In a world marked by rapid technological advancements, climate challenges, and geopolitical shifts, we must work together to break barriers and build solutions that benefit all. Let us break the code when necessary, strengthen the patterns that uphold peace, and ensure that in a changing world, we remain committed to progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation, for your speech. Delegation of Russian Federation, the floor is yours.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, esteemed members of the press, and distinguished guests. As the delegation of the Russian Federation, we would first like to welcome you all to this year's GeMUN conference. We are gathered here with a common purpose, to engage in meaningful debates and collaborate on solutions to the pressing global challenges that confront us. As a nation, the Russian Federation has always been a critical and active member of the United Nations, with a strong commitment to global diplomacy. Our goals are clear, our vision is resolute, and our determination is stronger than ever. The Russian Federation is fully aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, working towards a cleaner, fairer world where equality and global peace can shape the future we aspire to. In the coming days, as we continue to lay the foundations for a brighter future, we look forward to engaging cooperative solutions-driven debates and exchanging diverse perspectives with all of you. We hope that this conference will serve as a turning point for all nations and that we will gain valuable insights every day. Thank you for your attention. We wish everyone a fruitful debate.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Delegation of South Africa, you have the floor. You have the floor.
Fellow delegates, honorable chairs, and esteemed President, South Africa stands before this assembly with a deep understanding of what it means to break the code of division, inequality, and injustice. Our history is marked by the long and painful struggle against apartheid. Yet, by resilience, unity, and visionary leadership of Nelson Mandela, we overcame the barriers of discrimination. However, the end of apartheid was not the end of our challenges. Today, South Africa continues to fight against economic disparity, youth unemployment, and social inequality. As we discuss the theme of breaking the code, South Africa urges all nations to work together to stop the structures that stop the progress. Just as we broke the chain of apartheid, we must now break the cycle of poverty, exclusion, and lost opportunity, ensuring that every young person, regardless the background of their life, can be part of our future. We believe that solidarity, cooperation, and commitment to sustainable development are the keys to lasting peace and prosperity. Let us break the code that divides us and build a world that unites us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate, for your speech. Delegation of Thailand, you have the floor.
Fellow delegates, distinguished guests, and esteemed chairs, good afternoon. It is our pleasure to welcome you all to GeMUN 2025 as the delegation of Thailand. This year, GeMUN challenges us with a crucial theme, breaking the code. For too long, international dynamics have been dictated by rigid patterns, repetitive diplomatic negotiations, unresolved conflicts, and policies that fail to address the ever-evolving global landscape. But we are here to challenge the status quo. Breaking the code means recognizing the stagnant structures and working towards solutions that bring real and lasting change. Diplomacy is not just about maintaining order, it is about progress. It is about breaking down outdated frameworks and ensuring that global discussions lead to action rather than endless deliberations. We must question ineffective traditions, confront systemic inefficiencies, and engage in meaningful debates to pave the way for a better future. As young diplomats, we hold the power to shape our own future. Engaging in international dialogue is more than just an opportunity. It is also a responsibility. The issues we will debate today will define the world we will live in tomorrow. Our voices matter, and our commitment to change must be inflexible. We would like to extend our gratitude to everyone who has made this conference possible, our fellow delegates, esteemed experts, MUN directors, security staff, and press. Let us take a moment to recognize their efforts. Delegates, this is our moment to take the floor, to challenge, to propose, and to break the code of outdated diplomacy. Engage, debate, and make this experience meaningful. We wish you all an insightful and productive conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Thailand, for your speech. Delegation of Uzbekistan, the floor is yours.
Honorable chairs, distinguished delegates, and esteemed guests, is it an honor to stand you before today at the General Model United Nations? We gather here not only as students, but as future leaders, diplomats, and change makers, ready to engage in meaningful discussions about the challenges our world faces. In a time of global uncertainty, cooperation and diplomacy have never been more crucial. The issues we debate in these halls, from climate change to human rights, from economic stability to security, are not just theoretical. They reflect the reality that millions of people face every day. Our words and resolutions, they may not change the world overnight, but they represent the first step toward a future shaped by dialogue, respect, and international collaboration. This conference is a platform for ideas, for learning, and for growth. Each of us brings a unique perspective, and through debate and negotiations, we will refine not only our arguments, but also our ability to listen and understand others. As we embark on this journey, let us remember that diplomacy is not about proving who is right, but about finding solutions that benefit all. Good luck and thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Uzbekistan, for your speech, and thank you, delegates, for all your speeches. It's now my pleasure to give the floor back to the Secretary General of GeMUN 2025, Emma Christensen.
It is with deep honor that I now declare the 22nd edition of the General Model United Nations officially open.
Thank you, Emma. I would like to thank again on behalf of the whole Secretariat, all authorities, guests, and keynote speakers that join us today. And I would like to wish all officers, delegates, MUN directors, press, admin members, and all others, a wonderful GeMUN 2025. This concludes the official opening ceremony of the 22nd annual session of GeMUN Model United Nations.